What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GSN Sports Network podcast, episode 116. I'm your host, John J. II. Thank you for joining us tonight on a Thursday night. It's almost a weekend. It's almost Friday. I understand that. I get it. But we still got one more day before we get to the weekend. We're all excited for it. But here's the thing. It has to be stated right here, right now, is you can't live for the weekend, right? You can't live for the weekend. You got to live for the entire week, because your life isn't just the weekend. Understand that, figure that out. The sooner you figure that out, the happier you will be, the more fulfilled you will feel, and the better off you'll be all around. So, some wise words to the wise, to the aspiring wise out there. Just some things to think about, especially if you're having a rough day, having a rough morning. That'll kickstart your day. That'll kickstart your week. But obviously the weekend it's just a little bit, there's more of a sprinkle on top. There's more frosting on top. There's more, you got the cherry on top of the weekend. We get that. Okay, without going on a rabbit hole of its own, August 14th, 2025, midway through August, people are saying summer's almost over. Listen, I don't want to hear that. All right, we got people living for the weekend. And we got people telling me summer's almost over. We don't need to hear that. We're going to have snow blowing here in a couple months. And that's going to be all the, pain we need to feel when it comes to the knowledge of the fact that summer may be coming to an end at some point, allegedly. We're hoping for a long fall, a warm fall, and you extend the summer a little bit. So that's how I'm looking at it. And you got to look at it, everything glass half full. That's so important. And that's going to be a prelude to the Johnny Golf tip of the week as well. So we're happy to have you with us on the GSN pod. Got a great show in store for you guys. A lot of stuff happening in the sports world. We're counting down the clock to preseason being over for NFL, the beginning of the NFL season, the actual NFL season. And obviously, college football, they're still doing something right aside from NIL, and they don't have a preseason. They don't have exhibition games. They jump right into week one. Yeah, we got spring training. Yeah, we got the spring game and all that stuff. Okay, that's one thing. We don't have to have a preseason because, unfortunately, you're kind of clumping in the weeks when it comes to college football. You don't have the luxury of stacking a 17 plus game schedule into an NFL season like you do. We're already lucky to get extra football with a 12-team format. Okay, and we're gonna bring Sam Vitale on here one day next week to talk about the precursors for the college football season. We're excited to do that. But first off, something came across my desk. This was actually a few days ago, and it was about Tom Brady, the GOAT, talking about NIL. And I'm so happy that he chimed in. It took him longer than I thought it would to chime into the entire thing, the debacle, which is name, image, and likeness. Okay, it has its place. I have to say that. But I'm glad Brady highlighted a lot of the downfalls to NIL and some of the more lackluster vibes, I guess, that go along with NIL. So he basically said these kids need to learn the right values. They need to learn how things are done. All right. They need to have certain values instilled in them. They have to display the values that were instilled in them by their parents, by their guardians, but also see those displayed and exemplified within their coaches and what they're able to do. So to see that happen, to see that flourish into something that's special, it takes time. It takes more than a season. It takes more than 2 seasons even. These players are young men. They have to develop. They have to grow at their own pace, but at a pace that can be built upon. Okay, when these values aren't built on respect for your elders, on becoming an upstanding individual in society, But instead, you're chasing a dollar figure. Instead, you're going to the highest bidder. That's where it gets jumbled up. So I don't think Brady is bitter about maybe not getting paid a monetary value, a monetary amount when he was in college. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think he's saying these kids nowadays are losing their way. They're getting a taste of the fruits that come at the professional level a little bit early. Some might even call them forbidden fruits. Okay, until you get to the next level, then that's when they become fruits that you can eat, right? That's when you exit the garden and you become worthy of consuming the fruit that was once forbidden. That's what he's saying. I believe, because these values that were instilled in these players back during the golden era of pre-NIL, which we're just coming up on 4 years now of the NIL disaster. And I forecasted this. I knew it would take this amount of time, maybe less, maybe more, to really have our eyes opened with the NIL deal. And it's essentially an NIL problem. And we have had podcasts about it. We've talked about it a lot. We beat it like a dead horse. We're beating into the ground, all right, with a sledgehammer. But we're happy to do it, and I'm happy to do it because it has to be done and it has to be talked about. It has to, got to shed light on this stuff. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue to do it. And others have echoed what I've said. So it might fall on deaf ears, but I think I share a lot of common personas. I share a lot of the same views that a lot of people looking outside in are feeling with the NIL problem. So to see it be a thing, to see it rear its ugly head, to really see no true limitations be put on the NIL system, that's a problem. That's a problem. So as the gamer community would say, we have to nerf the NIL system for it to be more fair, for it to be more like it used to be. And that's what I fear the most is the NCAA, the college football community, retracting and saying, you know what, we need to get it back to how it was, even though that's the direction it has to go in to fix it in a major way. Maybe not entirely, but in a major way, it has to go in that direction. But at that point, they're saying, you know what, we screwed up. We're calling it quits with the current regime system. We have to get out of here with our lives, and it just doesn't look good. Doesn't look good because you let him run amok, you let him go crazy, and next thing you know, there's problems. So these problems could have been avoided. That's all I'm going to say about that. And maybe you can say that there was a lot of positives that came of it. And I'm talking about it as if it was in the past tense, but this is still in effect. So by no means is it in the past tense. I'm drinking Gatorade, by the way. Shout out Mikey. He left a 12-pack. My boy left a 12-pack of Gatorade Zero, the blue kind, the light blue. So I had to help myself to one or two. I might have had two today. But hey, I'd let you do the same if I left a 12-pack of Gatorades at your house. So it is what it is. Let's move on. Let's talk. Brady. Just real quick. Brady has been in headlines because he was sharing his experience, and I didn't give this backstory, but he's been sharing his experiences as an analyst with Fox Sports and how it's affected him. And the people that tease him about coming back to the National Football League. And I would love to see it. I think he actually just had a recent one where he teased a comeback. He said, "Oh, well, I did this in my 40s. Well, what about my 50s? What about my 50s? What do those have to offer?" So I think more or less it was a joke, but trust me, I don't think any of us would be mad to see the GOAT come back and throw the pads on. maybe drop back in the pocket and throw a couple passes. I don't think we'd be mad about that. But moving on, let's talk about UFC. They signed a $1.1 billion deal with Paramount, CBS, the parent company. This is a big deal. This is a big deal because what's happening and what will happen, what is to come in 2026 when this will take effect, is it essentially ends the pay-per-view era. Previously, their contracts to broadcast were with ESPN, and that was for roughly $550 million within their contract. This is a $1.1 billion deal, arguably one of the biggest deals broadcasting-wise made with a single sport, a single entity, which is the UFC. It's a single entity, really ever in sports, and that was coming from their president and CEO, Dana White. And they want to have, to celebrate America's 250th birthday next year, President Trump and Dana White and the entire UFC, they want to have a fight on the White House lawn. Now, I can't think of anything more beautiful than that. Obviously, the logistics are going to have to get figured out. Glad I'm not on that team and that staff to figure that out. But you want to talk about making history in a year surrounded by history. That is what it is. And in unison with that, in unity with that announcement and what's going on, I had to wear my America tank top just to show my support for the red, white, and blue. And let me tell you something else. With all this stuff going on politically, I don't like to be political. I'm not a political guy. Okay. But I've heard people say in the media, on TV, and elsewhere that they're ashamed to be American. For anybody that says that, you should be ashamed of yourself, first of all. And second of all, take a look in the mirror and really look around you. Look around at different countries. Do you really have it that bad? You should never be ashamed to be an American. Unbelievable. Couldn't believe my ears. But I digress. Okay, this is a big deal for the UFC. It ends the pay-per-view movement. Basically, you watch all the fights on CBS, which is basic television, by the way. So that's more exposure for the UFC, which is what they needed. They needed more money. It came down to money. It came down to dollars and cents. Okay, and then you can also watch a lot of the fights that take place in the United States on Paramount Plus, the streaming service, which I already watch a lot of my soccer matches on Paramount Plus as well, along with a lot of great programming. Not sponsored by Paramount Plus by any means, but it's a pretty good streaming service. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. In the world we live in, the era we live in, with streaming services being commonplace, it's one of the better ones, I would say. It's one of the better ones, and I enjoy it a lot for a lot of different ways and reasons. I'm happy for Dana White. I'm happy for the UFC. It's growing as a sport. It's growing as an entity in its own right. I mean, you talk about a community. You talk about an empire that's been built. And essentially, they encompass, you have other subsidiaries to the UFC, other fighting leagues. You got boxing as well, which is arguably historically bigger. And I would even go as far to say boxing walked so UFC could run. I would say that. I would say that publicly. And I'd be happy to say it. Because I think it's true. I think it's true in a lot of ways. But they're their own entity, basically claiming their own sport. And it's been a long time coming. It doesn't happen overnight. This doesn't happen overnight. So to see a deal like this get signed, this means the refs are going to get paid more. Hopefully they pay the judges more, because they don't deserve it. With some of these fights that I've been seeing, a lot of bullshit endings to fights because of the judges' scorecards. They got to figure it out. Maybe withhold sending them some money until they pull their head out of their ass. But most importantly, the fighters are going to make more money. Okay, and the fighters, they deserve to get paid, I think, an unlimited amount. Give these guys a blank check for going out there and beating the pulp out of each other. I mean, you want to talk about a life or death sport. You're talking about being in the Coliseum with the Lions in the octagon. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. You see it happen. We've seen we've seen what happened in the Lions game the other day against the Falcons. It's a brutal sport. Football is. But you want to talk about head-to-head combat, major head trauma, major destruction, major damage done. Yes, externally, but only God knows what kind of internal damage is being done on a daily basis in these fights. So they deserve an unlimited amount, in my opinion. These guys are true gladiators, guys and gals, and it's a great sport. Okay, I can toot my own horn about it as much as I want. I really enjoy following the UFC and following the individual fighters and following their stories and finding out how they became who they are and how they found the stage that they eventually found. A lot of these stories are amazing. So the sport in and of itself, the entire aura of the UFC is we're blessed to have it in our generation, our lifetimes, and to be so early in its lifespan as well. So it's really cool. I love the UFC, and I'm happy for Dana White and the entire UFC team. And if they can bring it home, and if they can bring the fight to the White House lawn, that'll be the cherry on top. That'll be the cherry on top. So that's what I'm hoping for the most. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on. We're getting in the weeds a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. We still got to talk about, Johnny Golf's tip of the week, which we'll get to. Don't worry. We'll get to that. But first, we got to talk about Bill Belichick, head coach of the UNC Tar Heels. How is he doing ahead of week 1, game 1 versus the TCU Horned Frogs? How is he feeling? I gotta hear what Sam Vitale has to say about this. This will be a pressing question that I ask him next week when we have this very conversation. It's gonna be a talking point, initiated by me, and I'm happy to do that. But I don't know, until I see game 1, until I see Bill Belichick with the headset on again, which we haven't seen that for a few years. It's going to be sobering. It's going to be a little bit sobering. It's going to be kind of cool. It's going to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, a little bit nostalgic. You're going to be all up in the feels, But with Jordan Hudson, and I see Bill Belichick, a coach that I've looked up to as, being in head coach royalty, especially in the world of football, that, I've looked up to since the days of ESPN Flex. And that's going way back. My people know what Flex is all about. But I see him fooling around a little bit. He's engaging in some foolishness, doing yoga on the beach, getting on podcasts with his 24-year-old girlfriend. All right. It's a little bit, makes me question his judgment a little bit. Is he getting senile in his old age? Has he lost it? Did he take too many hits on the sidelines? Did he headbutt players on the sidelines when he was coaching the Patriots? These are questions I have. So that's why I got to see week 1. I got to see where his head's at, because if it's in a questionable spot, we're going to have problems. I'm not saying I'm a North Carolina fan. I'm not wearing the powder blue. But like I said, it's legacy based. Just like I look up to Tom Brady as a now a commentator, still experiencing the sport maybe in a different way, but he's very much a part of the game of football. I look up to these guys. Okay, you don't want to see a role model let you down. So that's where I'm at with Bill Belichick, Coach Belichick. I want to see him do well. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him, be the college football version of Pete Carroll, which he's continuing to do it and coach at a high level for the Raiders. So we'll have to see where they go with Geno Smith going over there as well. Blurring the lines a little bit with college and NFL, but that's okay. There's parallels to be recognized. And we're still relevant because Belichick coached in the NFL forever. So where is his head at? I see him doing yoga on the beach. And not really to draw more parallels, but to reference the GOAT, where does Brady think Bill Belichick's head's at? Because that could be a question that I would like to have answered as well. Is it in a good spot? Do they still talk? Do they still have conversations? I know they had a falling out when Tom made the move to Tampa and things kind of fizzled out from there. That was the end of the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick regime at the New England Patriots. I understand that. But have bygones became bygones? That's what I have to know. And I would hope so. I would hope so. You have a falling out with somebody that you're close with, right? These things happen. Hopefully one of the two parties, if not both, have a realization to say, hey, we got to let bygones be bygones. Life is too damn short. We got to figure this out, come together in peace and harmony, and rejoin forces. That's what it's all about. That's what life is all about, building each other up, not breaking each other down. We need to see more of that in our daily lives. It's the truth. So I'm hoping that happened with Coach Belichick and Brady, but I don't know. We'll have to wait for week 1 to see where Bill Belichick's head is at. And hopefully it's on the field with a headset on, not somewhere in the clouds. PGA Tour, the BMW Championship embarks today at Caves Valley Golf Club with Robert McIntyre, Bobby McIntyre, the Scot, coming in with an 8 under 62 score. Yes, this is a par 70. You want to talk about ruthless. That's a par 70. Okay. Par 71. That's a little bit unfair, but par 70? Come on now. Behind him is Tommy Fleetwood. He shit himself last week. We'll have to see if he does that this week because it looks like he is out for vengeance. He's out for blood. Scotty Scheffler, 4 under. Victor Hovland, 3 under. I'd love to see Victor Hovland be in the winner's circle and get him in the final pairing on Sunday. Hold on to that 3 under score. Now, Bobby's going to be tough to catch at 8 under, but it's only day 1. Then you got Griffin behind him, Ricky Fowler behind him, and others. So it's only day 1. Okay, it's all about the race for the FedEx Cup. Bobby McIntyre sits at 20th currently. And the FedEx Cup is kind of it's an enigma of an event because you have all these majors going on. You have everything going on. And it's all to build up FedEx Cup points. That's what it's all about. That's what it's for. And we have to wait and see how that plays out because looking at the FedEx Championship, looking at the FedEx Cup Championship, really these majors are a big deal, and you think they're all for that day, for that event. But they're all to build up mostly for the FedEx Cup. Got Mikey Santos in the chat. It's only day 1, baby. And damn it, that's true because it is only day 1. The golf season, the PGA Tour season is kind of wrapping up to some extent. But listen, summer's not over yet. Summer is not over yet. Talked about it at the beginning of the show. Summer's not over yet. We're hoping for a longer summer with a warm fall. That's what our anticipation is. That's what we're looking forward to. And don't forget, we got the GSNC 6 coming up in a month from now, the 13th of September. So make sure you get registered, get your teams together. We'll do a plug for that here at the end. But first, we got to talk about the Golf Johnny, at Golf Johnny, tip of the week. Now, people ask me for golf tips all the time and whatnot. I'll take people to the range and help them work on mechanics and whatnot. But don't get it twisted. I'm not a golf professional. I'm not a golf influencer. Yes, we have the Instagram. It's been somewhat, it's been out there for a little bit. We got a couple tutorials on there. But don't get it twisted. I'm not here to toot my own horn like I'm on a PGA Tour like Bobby McIntyre, 8 under, 62 at the BMW Championship. That's not what I'm here to do. But what I am here to do is give you some pointers, give you some firsthand experience of what I deal with on a week-to-week basis as an average Joe in a golf league. Maybe I win a couple skins here and there. But I set personal goals, and I am in that average pool of it is the true definition of an amateur, right? Which I think a lot of us, me, my buddies, my golf buddies, people I play golf with, this community, even the Discord community, a lot of people, the vast majority of golfers fit in this category. So that's why I'm here to share the expertise that I do have with the average Joe, because I think, at least I hope, the average Joe, the average golfer can relate to some of this stuff and see it in their own way. So today's topic is head behind the ball. I got to give the credit to Big Jason Davis for this tip. He's partners with my dad, Paulie. A lot of you guys know Paulie in the Monday Night League at Briar. And we have a great time. We have a lot of fun. We chop it up. He tells me, keep the head behind the ball upon impact. And I was somewhat already doing this. It helped me to hear somebody else say it, because that's when I really saw the true, consistent benefits of doing that and being process-driven over product-driven, especially with the driver. But this went hand in hand with a lot of the experiments that I've been doing, which is keeping the weight on the back foot upon impact. Sounds counterintuitive, especially to baseball players, because what do you want to do? You want to wind up, get all the way back, get cocked back, and you're stepping into that ball upon it crossing the plate, right? Whether you swing or not, you're still doing a weight transfer, a significant weight transfer from your back leg, your back side of your body, your back third, all the way through the entirety of your body. Lower body is driving the upper body, which that's similar with golf and baseball and hockey and other club-related sports. But then what are you doing differently? You're bringing all the weight through. You're bringing everything through the plane of the strike zone in baseball's case. But that is the opposite of what you do. The follow-through is the key here. Everything really until the lead up and the plane of the swing, being across compared to being up and down on a separate axis, it's identical. It's identical. The difference lies with where is the weight when it is transferred, right? So by keeping that weight on that back third from where you started at, you're still bringing it through. And that's why I'm saying you can't really bring it through and still be completely on your back third with your weight. You're coming more to a back center. So you're coming through all the way. You're following through the ball, bringing the hands through, closing the door, doing all that jazz. But you're keeping the weight, the majority of the weight, in that back third, but it's more towards the middle. But in essence, doing that, you're keeping the head behind the ball. So it's easier said than done. You have to practice it on the range. But once you do it, the golf swing is so much smoother. The tempo is so much better. That's a separate thing, but it works hand in hand with this mentality. Everything works out better. So I encourage you this week, when you hit the course, when you hit the range, when you hit the sim, try this. Keep the head behind the ball and go from your back third to the back middle or the middle. Go to the middle, but keep that head behind the ball upon impact. And you'll notice changes, especially if you're not doing that. If you're not consciously thinking about that, you will notice a difference. It might be for the better. We talked about this as well. Talked about this in previous weeks. Yes, keep the head behind the ball, but even more important than that, keep your head in the game. You have a bad shot happen. Bad shots happen. Scotty Scheffler has shanked it. I've seen him shank it. That proved to me he was a human being. But these things happen to professional golfers. So if you hit a bad shot, If you have a bad hole, if you get a snowman on the card, you got to reel it back in and realize there's a reason you're playing on a golf league 9 holes during the week. It's because you play like that, right? So you deserve to play like that to some extent. You deserve to have some good shots. Even amateurs have tour pro level shots sometimes every time they play, at least once. But realize where you're at. Know your role, know your place in the game of golf, and react accordingly. Have your mentality emulate where you're at in golf, in your golf career. And then you can aspire to be better. That's the beautiful thing. Usually it's those tour level shots that keep you coming back. Might be a long putt, might be a chip in. It might be sticking it from 170 out. It might be getting on from 270 with a 3-wood and having a putt for birdie after you chunked your drive. These are the things that keep us coming back. And keep your head. Keep your head. More importantly than keeping the head behind the ball upon impact, keep your head throughout the round. It'll pay dividends down the road. Moving on. We told you we'd do it. The Gin Sports Network Challenge 6 is a month away. Get signed up. The registration form is in the description of this podcast. So we hope to see you there on the 13th of September, 2025 at Briar Ridge Golf Course. And that is to benefit the Thomas Smith Memorial Foundation. Do a lot of great work for the heart community, identifying undiagnosed heart ailments in children, young athletes, and adults. So give them a shout out. Check them out. Their information will be in the bottom in the description of this podcast as well. Good deal, guys. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on a Thursday, the 14th of August, 2025. We're looking forward to college football, right? That's in the main view. We have tunnel vision on that. At least I do. Okay. Some people might be focused on MLB playoffs. Some people might be focused on NFL, the regular season starting. I'm looking at college football. Okay. I'm just telling you right now. We're looking forward to it. A lot of great sports are ahead of us. So we hope you stick with us throughout the entirety of it all. But we'll leave it there. Make sure to check us out on our website, ginsportsnetwork.com. Check us out on IG at Gin Sports Network. Find us on Twitter /X at GinPros. Find me on Twitter at GinCommish. And we can talk more on there. But for now, I'm John J. II with the Gin Sports Network podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you here next time. Have a great night.